Okay, so round 5, championship match. Both of these players have 4 wins under their belt. On your left, you've got Brian Larson. He's been on feature matches before. He's playing a deck that he calls Bloody Junk. It is essentially a 4-color mid-range deck in those 4 colors. The junk colors, white, black, and green, plus red, which makes it bloody. Brandon is playing Jund. I believe he's playing essentially the same deck that he just won the state championship with. I believe it was last weekend that he won it. And you can see him with his Spring Champion 2013 playmat. Should be a pretty good match, guys. These guys both have some serious skill, and if the Jund deck isn't particularly interesting, the Bloody Junk certainly is, and at least the Jund deck isn't also junk.
Several dice off.
Alright, so Brian's probably going to play first here. There's no reason that his deck doesn't play first. Anyway, so what's in Brian's deck here? He's got the Thrag Tusks that you'd expect to see in Jund. He's got the Hunt Masters, some Planeswalkers, Olivia Voldaren, and something that maybe you don't see quite as often in a junk or a Jund colored deck is Rock Space Mender. 1/5 elephant for 4 mana that doubles any life gains. Pretty good with Thrag Tusk, I hear.
Yeah, no kidding.
Brandon has had some close matches this evening. I know that much. Last match he said he just squeaked it out. Went pretty close to time. I believe it was Kessig Wilfron that finally put him over the edge. Pretty uneventful first couple of turns. I would expect to see Brian Farseek here if he doesn't have it. Farseek and Primal Hunter and Brandon Emerson's hand. He's going to play the Farseek.
Got an Olivia as well.
So under the current Legend rules, Olivia will Legend rule herself if both players have one in play at the same time. Under the new rules, each player can have one Olivia in play at the same time. Those won't take effect until July 13th here. Well, at least Brian's seeing some land. I do know his deck is pretty mana hungry. His curve, except for a couple of removal spells, starts at 4. But for some reason, people don't seem to be playing a whole lot of really fast decks around here. It must be that the mid-range decks have just taken over. This is pretty much all we're seeing now is mid-range and control decks. I think a well-played, very fast, aggressive deck, a Naya Blitz or a Gruul Aggro, could really upset the balance here. Well, Brian's hit his 4 mana. Do we see Olivia or a Faithmender or what?
Yeah.
So if you're in Brandon's position here, do you play your 4th land and just Legend rule Olivia? Or do you try to play against her?
Knowing his hand, or at least a little bit of it, I would just play against her.
Okay.
But there's also the benefit of just Legend ruling, like he's going to.
He's going to do it.
And then that way you can just play your Garrick and not have to worry about her swinging into it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Alright, so Brandon did shock himself there. So they're using the dice, but not on camera. We'll have to fix that for second round. 5 mana, Thrag Tusk. Obsidat! We haven't seen Obsidaddy yet tonight.
He just does so much work. It's crazy.
Alright, so Brandon's got some decisions here. None of his sorcery speed removal can take care of Obsidat. None of his abrupt decays or searing spears can take care of Obsidat. So what does he have to do? He's got to play some creatures out and hope that Brian is going to run his Obsidat in, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's got any other options.
No. He's got Thrag Tusk now, so that helps. Extra life, at least.
At this point, I think Brian can just race the Thrag Tusk.
Yeah.
Because you don't swing with Obsidat here.
No.
You just blink him out. Let him come back in at the end of your next turn after Thrag Tusk is attacked and you beat for 5. And the 2-point life swing from Obsidat each time just wins.
Yep.
So I don't think Brian's particularly concerned here. He's definitely thinking hard about something.
Work on something. Housemaster.
Yeah, that wolf will block a Thrag Tusk.
Yeah.
So I think you just say go here and blink out Obsidat.
Yep.
Brandon's definitely going to play a spell here, though.
He has to. Can't let that Housemaster flip when all you've got is a Thrag Tusk that can be blocked.
There's a Rakdos return in Brandon's hand there. Probably wouldn't be a bad option here. Shocks himself, goes to 14. Rakdos return for 4?
Yeah?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Brian has to discard his hands. Can you play something? Tragic slipped Thrag Tusk for 1, making him a 4/2 until end of turn, so that if he attacks the wolf token, we'll be able to block him.
That's smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as you're going to have to end up discarding your hand anyways. So Huntmaster won't flip here. Obsidat's going to come in for another 4-point life swing. $24-12. Nope, I missed the Thrag Tusk in there. 24-17. So Brian now has the 1 card in hand that he just drew. Did you see it? No, I didn't think he showed it. Doesn't play it. Flips Huntmaster. Deals 2 damage to Brandon, takes him to 15. Oh, there's an abrupt decay in his hand. I think that's what that is right there at the end. That will take out a Ravager of the Fells. Just not a Huntmaster. And minus 13, the Wolf token.
Get in there with Thrag Tusk.
Wolf token slips on 13 banana peels. Thrag Tusk comes in for 5.
And then Obsidat comes back in. Oh! And it's done!
What hit it?
I
They gain 2 life and get in the wolf.
Brandon got rid of Wolfenot though, so I don't think he's even in that bad of a position. Got a Garrick.
That must have been a putrefy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, now that Brian doesn't have a hand, Brandon's in a pretty good position here.
You played the Olivia or the Garrick?
I play Garrick. Draw 5 cards. 5 mana for 5 cards. That's a deal I'll take any day.
Yeah.
But evidently, I'm not a Jun player. Strike test comes in. Looks like Brian's just going to take that.
Do you think he did it so he can just take the Huntsmaster?
Well, I suppose by playing Garrick, you open the Planeswalker up to a double attack from the Huntmaster and the Wolf. Which, if you just drew 5 cards, Garrick would be at 1 loyalty, I think? Yeah, so he would die there. But if you play Garrick and make a beast...
I kind of feel like if you just got the cards, you got the advantage out of them anyway. It's
yeah.
not like it's that big of a loss.
Okay, so it looks like he pings with Olivia once end of turn, makes it a 4/4. And Ravager deals 2 damage to Thragtusk. So it's less likely to attack this turn.
Yep.
Although, if Thragtusk were to attack this turn, he can simply ping twice with Olivia, take out the Wolf token, force him to block with the Ravager.
Yep.
And that's still a trade that Brandon likes. Plus, 2 pings from Olivia would take her up to a 6/6. A 6/6 flyer is nothing to sneeze at. Or if you do, you better sneeze pretty hard. Looks like just Olivia's going to come in.
Yeah.
Is he scared of a response from Brian? Is that what's going on here? Brian does have 1 card in his hand. Okay, well, I guess Brian's just going to take 4 in the air. But now that you've got Olivia in play, I think you just hold the Primal Hunter until you need it. Bonfire off the top. So now he needs to use Olivia as many times as possible, which is 3. Bonfire is still hitting for... What is the casting cost? Is it X red?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Olivia's already out of range. Isn't she?
Yeah, but there's no point not swinging with her.
True. So Olivia gets pumped once, and something else happens? There's 7 mana tapped.
Yeah.
There's some serious decisions going on here. In response to Bonfire. Oh, maybe he's putting a counter on the Ravager and then trying to steal with Olivia.
Okay.
But
it's not going to do any good, right?
I think we may have a judge call coming in here.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. Because this was off the top. This is a bonfire for 6. Olivia was at 4. If she pings 3 times, she would go to 7.
Yeah.
So Thragtusk would die, he'd get a beast, and he would keep the Olivia. That seems more important to me than stealing a Ravager of the Fells and having it die along with the rest of your board.
Yeah, I think you just need to have that Olivia be huge.
Yeah, Olivia at a 7/7 is going to win you the game.
Especially when he just wiped his own board. Bonfire.
No, bonfire is a one-sided draft. I still think the right play is pump Olivia 3 times. Is there wasn't a second spell played there.
No.
Huntmaster shouldn't have flipped. Well, okay, he did. He took the Ravager, and it got burned along with the rest of the board. So there's a 3/3 beast and a 2/2 wolf. My money's on the beast.
Play the Garrett.
Yeah, you definitely play Garrett here. But now you have decisions. Do you start making a beast army, or do you draw 3 cards right away and hope that there's no tricks from Brian that get rid of that beast in the way? I think you have to plan for the tricks, in which case you just want to fill your hands. At least that's what my instinct would be. But again, apparently I'm not the Jund player. Because Brandon makes the beast. Not the way I would have played it, but Brandon is the state champion, playing the same deck that he played at championships. Nothing wrong with gaining 5 life and putting a 5/3 on the battlefield. Yeah, I think Brian's just going to take that.
And he's going to draw with Garrett. Yeah.
Dreadlore. Farseek. I think that was a Farseek. Maybe not.
His own bonfire.
Mizium Mortars? That's a Mizium Mortars. And the Liliana of the Veil.
That's a nice draw for him.
I think that's going to control Brian's hand even more here. It's going to force him to play the spell he draws every turn.
Yep.
To Kessig Wolf Run, which means he's dead on board. Shows another land. Alright, so game one's going to end here. Brandon's going to take it. Brian he just scoops it up. Okay, he's not going to make Brandon attack in for game.
Make him take the damage.
So going to the sideboards. Brian playing an interesting deck. I would assume he has some interesting things in his sideboard as well. I haven't seen it. What do you bring in a 4-color mid-range deck like this against an established archetype like Junt? You bring in the Abrupt Decays? I don't think you do. You've only seen a Liliana and Huntmaster that flips into Ravager to trigger that. What do you bring in against Rakdos Return? Is there anything you can bring in against Rakdos Return? Because really, that's what destroyed him that game.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, 4 damage. 4 damage. Okay, whatever. But you lose 4 cards. Is there anything you can add in that's gonna give him some kind of long game? Give him additional card draw here. We don't have access to Elvish Visionary. Not that that would be particularly great in his deck. But it would certainly be fodder for a Liliana of the Veil Sacrifice or something like that. Can he bring in his own Garuks? Maybe? Looks like Brandon's thinking about siding out the Liliana of the Veil and possibly Tragic Slip and Sire of Insanity? Or is that what he's thinking of siding in? Was that his sideboard we were looking at? I think it's his sideboard we were looking at, because that's a ground seal on top there.
Yeah, it's a ground seal.
There's no reason to run ground seal on the main board. I suppose it's a 1 in the green mana. It cantrips.
Right.
I don't think that's a good enough reason to run it main. Although I suppose in this particular meta, where we have 13 or 14 junk decks running around, perhaps ground seal is, in fact, worthy of main decking. Russ is looking at maybe slaughter games. Possibly more Lilianas. What is that? Everything's a foil something.
Vraska would be really funny.
Well, Vraska you bring it against the control matchups. I don't know that Brian's deck is particularly a control deck. The reason Vraska wins control matchups is because, honestly, control decks don't have that many ways to deal with her once she hits the board.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There's just not a lot of ways to control planeswalkers.
Exactly.
You just have to swing into them, or they stay out and annoy you until the end of time.
Dreadbore.
Yeah.
Dreadbore is the answer to planeswalkers right now. I think there should be something else. At the very least, something else. Is there a destroy target legendary permanent? I know there's a destroy target legendary creature, Hero's Demise. It's, of course, not in standard. Oh, but planeswalkers don't count as legendary. They have their own.
Oh, yeah, they have their own.
Yeah, they're not considered legendary.
They have their own cuteness.
All right. So now that we've established that planeswalkers are overpowered, because there's no planeswalker removal.
No.
Did you see if Brandon did end up bringing in those slaughter games? That could be interesting. I'm not sure what he would name, since Brian's threats are so diversified. I think the only card he's running 4 of is Thragtusk.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I expect to see all 4 Thragtusks stay in the deck here. I don't think he wants to take the chance of losing when he could have gained 5 more life and stuck in the game. Both players shuffling up after sideboarding. We don't know what all came in here, but
Hopefully we'll see it.
it's always good when the players see the cards that they brought in specifically to deal with the deck. Both players looking like they're maybe feeling the effects of a long day. We are approaching 10 o'clock at night here, and these guys have been up for a while. Playing 4 rounds of very intense Magic, with this being the 5th. So Brandon's 1-0. Brian's probably going to be on the play again. Again, I don't think there's any reason for his deck to, you know, draw first against the more aggressive deck here.
Brandon's got a Huntmaster.
Looks like a Farseek on the bottom. I think that's probably good enough to keep. Brian, I see a couple of lands and a Bonfire. Less effective in the hand, but maybe it doesn't need to be effective right now. Land go, land go, land go. The story we've heard quite a few times tonight. Farseek. He's already got, yeah, I was going to say, probably finding a green-red source. Oh, good. For a moment, I thought that was another Bonfire. I was thinking, no, you really don't want to draw that right now. Oxidon Spider's pretty good, though. Maybe that was one of the things he brought in. Against Rakdos' return and Liliana of the Veil, that seems like a pretty decent answer. Well, Dreadbore, land, more land, and the Huntmaster that we saw earlier. What else is towards the bottom there?
It looks like a Vraska to me.
Well, it might be. We know we had one on the sideboard. Huntmaster gaining 2 life and getting a wolf. Now, Brandon hasn't shocked himself, has he? He played everything tapped until this last turn when he played... okay.
Yep.
Well, that is 2 Stomping Grounds, isn't it? I guess I can't see under his left hand there. If that's a Rootbound Prey, he hasn't shocked himself. If it's a Stomping Ground, he has.
No, it's Rootbound.
Alright, so no shocks. Putrefy the Huntmaster, block the Smiter. Brandon's going to stay at 22.
Throws into a Slaughter game.
I think you play that right away here. We're still pretty early in the game. This is the time when you want to be getting those cards out.
Yeah.
Slaughter games. What does it hit though? Does it hit Threat? It is a Vraska.
Oh. I still think that you play that Slaughter game, so.
Yeah, I think you do. Shocks himself. He's gonna play a 5-drop. Vraska. All right.
All this weird stuff for him.
Brian's still got a bunch of cards in hand. He's got to have a threat somewhere, right?
What's that top card?
In Brian's hand?
Yeah, it's Brandon.
Thundermaw Hellkite?
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
That's what it looks like to me. He doesn't have the 6th land, but now he's got 2 Slaughter games. Well, let's see. You don't want which threats resolving here. You don't want Thragtusks. He's got 5 mana now. You don't want Thrag Tusks hitting. Slaughter Games naming. Restoration Angel in response.
And another Echo in hand.
So Vraska went up. She went up there. We'll see what Slaughter Games hit here in a moment. Okay, so Vraska's ability hasn't resolved yet. He's announced his intention to, but okay, Thrag Tusks. Yep, like I thought. So he finds 3 Thrag Tusks and gets rid of them. Definitely going to hurt Brian's life total here. His only way to gain life now is with Hunt Master. And it's also 3 large threats gone from that deck. And he's going to need to do something about that Vraska really soon. Okay, so for the next, until Brandon's next upkeep, whenever a creature, deals damage to Vraska? Destroy that creature. So that, if he attacks with the Restoration Angel, he's going to lose it. But, Resto for Vraska doesn't seem like a really bad trade to me. Until your next turn, whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska the Unseen, destroy that creature. Of course, if he doesn't attack Vraska here, then she might just go -3 next turn and destroy target non-land permanent, killing the Restoration Angel anyways, forcing the trade. Again, that's the type of trade that favors Brandon, because he's already seen most of Brian's hand, and he still has 4 cards in hand. Brian only has 1 card that's hidden from Brandon right now, and
that Brandon's seen his sideboards now. If he knows the deck,
that's true. He did look through his entire deck. Restoration Angel hits Brandon. Playing Sire of Insanity. I think I would have hit Vraska if I was going to play Sire of Insanity next. Because it leaves me with the only threat on the board.
Yeah.
Especially if all my Thrag Tusks just got exiled. I guess Brian...
They're discussing the fact that he didn't hit Vraska.
Brian is explaining why he didn't attack Vraska, but I'm still not sure why.
Brandon's got a Thrag Tusk on board now.
Which puts Brandon back up to 22. Brian's still at 20. Drawing a card, which he's either going to have to play or discard to Sire of Insanity. Restoration Angel back at Brandon. I'm going to have to assume Brian knows something I don't at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Vraska just seems like a bigger threat than Restoration Angel, to be honest. now that Vraska's at 4.
Especially with her at 4.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And, so she's just going to destroy the Sire of Insanity.
Yeah. Unless you want her to.
I don't want her to destroy my Rakdos Crawlworm.
Right?
I'd like to keep it, thank you. Or I could just hit the Restoration Angel because she flies. I don't know. Personally, I would have hit the...
I would have taken the Sire out because that's not having cards. I like cards in my hand. Thanks. I mean, you're playing red deck, a red-black deck.
Drago.
Cards, but seems like the better choice.
Vraska +1. I'm not sure why Brandon isn't running the Thragtusk in here. Because I think not having cards in hand at this point is better for Brian than it is for Brandon. Sure enough, Brian takes the 5, goes to 15. Huntmaster. Yeah. Brian needs to rip a bonfire off the top here.
Yep. And he doesn't.
He either plays it or discards it. That is the downside of Sire Insanity. He hits you too. That's the reason he's only 6 mana for a 6/4. It's like Brian's doing some math here. He is in fact at 7 mana. Okay, sure.
Whatever, might as well. Why not?
It's definitely another threat. 4 power on the ground. And you need to play that spell to not flip Huntmaster.
Right.
Brandon shows something. Bonfire. The one-sided wrath that Brian needed to find last turn. It's a land. So Brandon's going to take this in 2. Oh, 4 cards down was his bonfire. Well, that's still 3 turns too late.
The both games from Brandon, we saw play that we disagreed with, and he still managed to get there.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just think that's interesting, because most of the time you'll be like, oh no, he should have done something different, and then he does something different and then loses.
Well, again, maybe we're just not Jund players.
Right.
And even when Jund was the big deck in the room back in the Shards block, I didn't play it. I had no need for it. You know, I was playing a control deck. I was playing Esper Control. It was bad. But it beat fun. It beat Jund.
Yeah.
Was the thing. It lost to every other deck in the format, but it beat Jund. And for a lot of the decks that we see now, since Junk is the main deck in the format, you know, you either see a Junk deck or you see a deck that's made to beat Junk.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work, as we saw today. Both of the Junk decks won. Well, all right, that's 5 rounds of Magic, people. That's the end of our tournament. That means that Brandon, our state champion, is also going to take our Friday Night Magic. Not really a surprise there, but you know, anything can happen. Anything more to say about this match? All right, we'll see you guys next week.